Okay, so before we talk about the very able Suzuki V Strom 1050 XT, I'd just like to point out that my very first foray into adventure riding with a bike I actually bought and can call my own was with a V Strom 650 back in 2012. Now I really love that bike. I set it up, bought some aftermarket stuff not found in the PH that time, skid plates, brackets, engine guards, boxes and all that, and of course, I rode it out there a lot. In fact, it was the Suzuki V Strom 650 that earned my respect for the brand Suzuki. I've had Suzukis before, I had a Hayate, but I did not spend saddle time on it as much as with the V Strom 650. For quite some time, the V Strom 650 was for me the bike that delivered beyond its price and its segment. And for me, that held up for a long time. Until now. The Suzuki V Strom 1050 XT. Suzuki calls it the Master of Adventure. It's got 99 horsepower at 8,000 RPM. It's got 2 cylinders in a V-twin format, my favorite format. It's a double overhead cam, and I'd say this power plant is the crowning glory of this bike. This is such a peppy and aggressive engine. It likes to go fast, it likes to be pushed, it likes to be driven. Engine is 1037cc, so legit litter bike here. It's got 6 gears, which are short and fast. Brakes are double disc out in front, stopping 19-inch wheels, while at the back, it's a single disc stopping 17-inch wheels. It's got ABS, of course. Fuel tank, we are at adventure level capacity at 20 liters. For an oil change, you'll need only 3.5 liters of oil. Not bad for a litter bike. Suspension out front are inverted forks, and at the back, it's got a link coil spring setup. It's got 3 colors: glass blaze orange, champion yellow, and glass sparkle black. My favorite, glass blaze orange. Just to put it out there, I was not able to rip this off-road, and I absolutely regret not having time to do so, because with my saddle time with it on-road and our naturally bad roads in the metro, I can tell you that this adventure bike can go off-road. You can take out the traction control for more excitement. Sadly, the ABS you can't. You know, I gotta borrow this again and seriously focus on dirt, because I can imagine that to be a lot of fun. However, the suspension travel is not to the level of other adventure bikes that can take on more gravel and bumps here and there. The suspension travel is short. The ground clearance is also low, good for us Pinoys but not for dirt. Exhaust is also not as high. And all of this tells me the V-Strom is really more for on-road. But for off-road it still can. It won't be the master of dirt, but it'll work. And let's just face it, I mean, most adventure bikes out there are used 90% of the time on-road anyway. You know, so there. Let's take a closer look at the all-new Suzuki V Strom 1050 XT. First thing I want to talk about at this point is the seat. Amongst all the other adventure bikes, I would say this would be one of the thinner seats that I've seen. It's easier for you to slide to the front, slide to the back. Your legs can really grip this part even more. So looking at the quality of the seat, can't fault it. So this material is pretty grippy with your pants. For the rear, you got more texture on the side for the buns. The seat is really nice. You got a generous helping of foam here, especially, well, if you're a guy, your balls are gonna be resting here, so your balls are gonna be comfortable. So checking out the control switches over here, good quality, very easy to understand. Layout is nice and simple. It's not confusing to look at. So if we check out our little gauge here, It's got the basics, gear indicator, fuel gauge, speedometer, odometer, trip 1, trip 2. You got your temperature outside, time. Let's go talk about the modes now, which is so easy to do, not intimidating at all. So you got the mode, which is gonna shift from SDMS or Suzuki Drive Mode Selector. You can see that moving down now to traction control, TC, and of course the kind of ABS you want to do. So going back to SDMS or Suzuki Drive Mode Selector, A is the most aggressive one. It's the most sensitive throttle response. If you're very sensitive, you can go down to B, and if you're even more sensitive to acceleration, then you can go down to C. For the purpose of this test ride, we're going to stick to A the whole time. For traction control, we're going to go for the first level, and for ABS, we're going to use both. We're going to go for 2. So that's going to be the whole layout. Now, if I may talk about what I see where this bike could probably improve on, I'd probably say would be this. Now, it's not to say that this is not robust or of good quality. I mean, it's a pretty solid gauge. All I'm saying is the technology for TFT displays have already been going down to smaller displacement bikes, so it's been trickling down already. That said, I feel that maybe Suzuki can hopefully get a TFT display in its upcoming models, you know, just to be part of the game. You're seeing like bikes as low as 250 to 300 cc getting TFT displays already. So the trickle down technology is more affordable now. It's not as expensive as before. This would be really cool if this was a TFT display. Also, I don't know, maybe incorporate touchscreen in their future models. Of course, it's hard to bitch about it in the sense that we are at 859K, which is almost half the price of the bigger, more expensive adventure bikes out there. And essentially, you're gonna go from point A to point B in a bike like this, you know, it's not a bad deal at all. Talking about the windshield, adjustable on the fly. So just switch that and put it down, voila. And if you want to bring it up, like in my case, I want to go up because I am 6 feet tall, kind of tall. I want to make sure the air goes on top of my helmet and not to my helmet. Let's talk about the lights. Of course, LED all the way. That is also LED. The tail light is LED as well. Tires are Bridgestone, dual ABS. We got some crash guards to go along with the unit. Very stable configuration for the wheels. It's going to be 17 at the rear and 19 at the front, wrapped with Bridgestone tires. Tank is at 20 liters, so not bad there at all for an adventure bike. The seat height is 850 mm or 33.5 inches. So we're looking at, if you're about 5'8" and up, you're going to be comfortable. 5'8" and below, you're going to be wearing taller boots, or you'd want to probably shave off a bit of the seat. So it's not a low bike in that sense. Ground clearance is 160 mm or 6.3 inches. Suspension, we got KYBs and they are adjustable. These are pretty good forks. And so for the rear shocks, it's also adjustable. You don't have to dig in there with a tool and start wrenching, you know, so it's got an accessible knob over here, low, high. That's adjustable. Would have been cool if it was electronic adjustment, but hey, again, we are at 859K. Not bad. Design-wise, you can see how the peak is just going straight to the back, and that's pretty much a staple for the adventure bike look. Got ducks over here. So I know it looks massive and looks cool and intimidating, and it's screaming adventure bike, but it's not very difficult to operate, especially the gizmos here and there.
Like the sun.
So going through EDSA, not too bad of a deal. Definitely going in and out when you need the power to just overtake people, overtake cars. This isn't gonna deliver. Still trying to come to terms with that Suzuki grunt. Really, really nice. So we'll try to go to some tight spots and see how we'll do. Very manageable, you know, this bike is so light. It doesn't feel like I'm in a 1000cc bike. And I'm sitting pretty high. I mean, this is my POV with everybody, with my height, and I'm pretty high up there. As you will notice, I see on the rooftop of cars, and I'm almost as high as this guy standing up. Hey, ride safe.
We got a lot of techery as well on the V Strom. You got riding modes, cornering ABS, hill assist, cruise control, slope descent systems. A lot of goodies in there.
Good morning, Philippines. Don't you just love the sunrise? That golden hue over there. Sarap.
So, where did I go? I went out of town, of course. BB, Baguio Balican.
Man, it's such a hassle, you know? You're on the freeway and the traffic is bad. Morning. This is so anticlimactic, right? You wake up early and you just wanna go out there. And then this! Bad trip. I should have been in Baguio by now. Here we go. Here we go. Freedom! So, when you're talking about quick spurts, going up to 160, 170 when you gotta overtake someone, the bike is very stable.
There are bikes that just compel you to do things, and I found myself constantly pushing the bike. It was so fun in that aspect. Very spirited, very quick, very fast. I mean, I found myself going beyond the speed limit, and you shouldn't be doing that. So be careful, because one can get really carried away. Position is comfy, the windshield does its thing, and next thing you know, you're just too fast. So keep your eye on the dash and control yourself.
So acceleration.
In the twisties, because of how this bike likes to be pushed, you can feel the suspension and stability being challenged in the corners. A bit of wobble here and there. But I'm talking about hard cornering here. Something I guess you should be doing more with a sport bike. But what can I say? I mean, this is what the bike is asking me to do. So upping this with aftermarket performance suspension parts should do the trick if you're that kind of rider.
Okay, neighbors, I'm back. Tried the brakes of the V Strom 1050 XT. Now, mind you, with where I've been to so far and the braking, I'm really not complaining about anything. We're talking about rear action here, ABS. Gentle slow for the rear as the ABS kicks in. And for the front, sakto, yung kotse. Great stopping power, you saw the distance. I mean, I stopped, I didn't get close to the car at all. Uy, may nakaparada na kotse! Let's try two brakes right now. Of course, best way to brake, best way to stop, two brakes! Although the rear is not as biting as much as I would want it to. I mean, with ABS, you know, you can risk a bit more bite. That's me slamming on the rear brakes. It's not stopping as much as I want. So a lot of the braking power is relying at the front.
Talking about the looks, this is such a refreshing bike to look at, with lines nodding off to the retro side of things. Clearly, this is inspired by the Suzuki DR Big, or Big DR, that came out back in the day in the latter part of the 80s. Everything from the colors, to the geometry, to the headlight, which actually shares design cues with a katana. Everything there is screaming cool retro. Now, when I first saw this in EICMA 2019, before the pandemic, I thought it had a brand new engine because of how it was presented. However, it's just an updated engine that now complies with Euro 5 standards. So they modified it, and in the end, it just turned out to be a better engine. It's got more oomph, more grump, and a little more of everything in your Suzuki Moto Cup coffee.
Everyone knows where to hang, but they never show you the ropes. You'll get hit by a car, shot by a cousin, or slip off a boat. One of these days the sky's gonna rain, so why are you?
Adventure bikes. Actually, if you think about it, any motorcycle out there is capable of giving anyone a sense of freedom and adventure. Whatever your bike is, whatever genre, any rider's mindset would be that of an adventure. But it's a bike like the V Strom 1050 XT that can give a proper sword to the adventure moto warrior. The skill set in this bike, just like what I loved about the V Strom 650, goes well and beyond what you pay for. I can confidently say that this can go toe-to-toe against adventure bikes double its price in terms of toughness, ruggedness, and reliability, topped with some good old fun found in really special bikes. Anybody who cannot see or understand the bike prowess behind the Suzuki V Strom 1050 XT is a moto embarrassment and should just shut the fuck up. In fact, if I were to nitpick this bike, if I were to pick on something and hit it hard, it would be the seat. It's not the best, it's not the worst, but it can definitely be improved on for hardcore long-distance riding. That's the only part where it falls short against more expensive adventure bikes. But apart from that, this bike deserves its place in adventure bike greatness. The all-new Suzuki V Strom is a killer deal, a killer bike, and it continues Suzuki's rightful presence in the adventure segment. And it's made in Japan. Go for it, be happy. This is Zach from Makinamoto Features. Ciao.
Pwede bang maulit